Hi everyone, this is Amisha with Team Hydra Squad. I'm here with Jenny and we're going to do a live demonstration of Hydrolister. Right now, if you are having any difficulties, refresh your page. I'm also going to type that in the comments so that you see that. And then I'm also going to, first I'm going to give a little introduction about Hydralister, about myself, and then Jenny's going to share her experience with Hydralister, the results that she's had, and then I'll get into the live demonstration. And at the very end, anyone that chooses to sign up with Hydralister tonight, I'm going to do something a little special for them tonight, so you'll definitely want to stick around. Okay. So, okay, I'm sorry. Hold on. Yeah.
Oxygen went down to 5.
No.
Huh?
No. I'm live on the air.
Sorry, what went down to 5?
Respiratory rate. I apologize. Life happens. Okay, so if you can hear and see me well, go ahead and press or go ahead and type I can hear you in the comment section. Just need to know if anybody can hear.
Maybe it's just you and me on here tonight.
It could be. Oh, wait, I see a new comment. Hey, it's Janie. Hi, Janie.
Hi.
We can count on Janie to be here. She's awesome. Okay, good. I'm glad that you guys can hear me because really we're all drop shippers or have thought about drop shipping. And with drop shipping, there comes some challenges that you all might be familiar with. I know that regardless of how you got your start in drop shipping, you've been told time and time again, well, how many listings do you have? I'm not seeing results, so how many listings do you have? And you're just told to list, get more listings up, and then you'll see more sales. I mean, I guess, yes, that is the concept. The more that you do list, the more probability, the higher chance that you have of making a sale. But the problem is that, you listing manually, it's really hard to get that number of listings up. So Hydralister came into place. It changed the game forever. Not only do you solve the problem of not being able to list fast enough, not being able to get up enough listings, some of you also struggle with getting those eBay Vero violations, copyright infringements. I know a lot of you seem to believe that it's associated with pictures, but it's pretty much they find you in other ways, but they slam you with an image violation after they find you. But in any event, eBay publishes a list called the Vero list. Companies register with this to keep people from listing their items. And the problem with that, eBay does not update the list regularly, and there are companies, and eBay even says this on their page, and I'll show that later, that there are companies that do not contribute to the published list. So the list that you see on eBay is not comprehensive, and I guarantee you that none of you are going through that list anyway when you list your items. So the beauty with Hydralister is that any of the companies that are associated with the Vero list, and also any companies that we report to them, if you try to list items from that company, those items will not be allowed to list with Hydralister. So this just helps you to protect your account from getting violations. Also, as you grow with the number of listings that you do, when you get up into the thousands of listings, it's hard to remember what you've already listed. Well, if you listed it with Hydralister, it will not allow you to list the same item again. So that helps lower your number of duplicate listing violations as well. So, right there, I've just solved quite a few problems of drop shippers. Basically that's it. So, my experience with Hydralister came into existence in August 2015. 15. Forgot what year we were in. Hydrolister came into existence in August, and I noticed it the first day it came out. I saw the value in it. I said, wow, this is amazing. And even better, when you list large amounts of items, of course, you want to be able to track and reprice them. If you're throwing up thousands of listings, you're not going to have time to monitor your inventory and stuff like that. So Hydralister had formed a partnership with a tracking and repricing software that I had already been using. And so basically, once my items are listed, they're automatically put into my tracker and they're automatically repriced for me. So I don't have to do much after I list the item besides, going back and doing revisions later. So it allows me more time to do more analysis on my account, analyze my performance, my listing performance, and make revisions. And once I started listing with Hydra, I kind of went crazy with it. I won't lie. I went from 150 listings up to, like 900 within a day or so. And I was like, wow, this is so awesome. But with that, I had a whole bunch of revisions to make later. So, I've slowed down a bit. But definitely within the first month, my sales had quintupled within the first month. And, income disclaimer, no one can guarantee you sales or any type of money. I'm just sharing with you my experience. So within the first month, my sales had quintupled and have been increasing consistently ever since. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to Jenny so that she can share her experience with Hydralister.
Hi.
Hi.
My experience with Hydrolister. Oh man. About the same as yours, actually. Before I got Hydra, I had never used the SKU grid or Hydra. And then somebody that I had been working with and talking with introduced me to it. And I fell in love with it. I did the trial, the free trial, did the 20, and I got them up like within a minute, and I was completely hooked. And before that, it had taken me about 5 months, and I had 500 listings up, and I was spending hours and hours and hours of editing, but I was only getting about 1 sale a day. So I was frustrated because, all these hours spent. I didn't have anything that was tracking my prices, but then I also wasn't making any money either because 1 sale a day, just it wasn't bringing in what I was wanting it to. And so then finding Hydra, I got it, and within 2 months, I went from 500 listings to 5,000 listings, and my income tripled right away. Of course, like you, Amisha, I went really fast, and of course, then I had a bunch of revisions to do, and everything was a little bit more sloppy than what I would have liked. But again, my income still tripled, and so now I'm going a little bit slower, making sure I'm getting everything cleaned up, and then that way my income's gonna go up even higher. So, but yeah, I mean, within 2 months, actually, I even think it was the very next month that my income had doubled, and then the month after that, it had tripled. It was amazing. I have no plans to turn back. Once you go Hydra, you can't go back. So, but yeah, that was my experience with it. I love it.
Yeah, definitely. And, I've kind of tried everything out there. Literally, I am a software junkie, so I will try just about anything. So I tried, different listing software, different tracking software, and literally nothing on the market compares to what we have here with Hydralister. I know some of you that might be using other softwares, you're only able to list with 1 supplier or 3 suppliers, maybe 23 suppliers. But, with Hydralister, we started out with 60 suppliers that we could use. And within like 3 months, we went up to about 156. So you'll never run out of items to list. It's just super awesome. And everything that we can list with, every store that we can list with, we can also track with SKU Grid, which is our tracker and repricer of choice. So everything is integrated and automated. It just makes life a whole lot easier. Can't say too much about it. It's just awesome. All right, well, I'll get into a demonstration of Hydra. You know, basically it's like, I guess I need to share my screen. That would be smart. I'm all over the place today. All right, so I'm going to share my screen. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay, good. All right, so when you're in Hydra, it's pretty much set it and forget it. You come in, you fill out some basic settings about how you want your listings to go, you know, including, you know, the listing duration, like do you want a 30-day listing or a good till canceled, etc. Handling time, returns, restocking fees, sales tax table, if you use global shipping or not, your shipping method and how much you charge for shipping. And then here is where you set your formula. This is your pricing formula, and this is how it will determine the listing price of your item. And all of this is going to be based on the supplier cost. With that said, it allows you to account for any vendor tax. You know, certain suppliers charge you tax 99% of the time that you place an order with them. Some of them have less of a likelihood of charging tax. So you just can enter a number that you're comfortable with, or you can leave it blank. Margin, this is like, what profit margin do you want to get? Fixed margin, this is a dollar amount in addition to your profit margin that you'd like to receive. Your minimum margin is the minimum amount you will accept for any item. And then you add in PayPal fees, eBay fees, etc. This is a test account. Ignore the fact that I have 13% for PayPal fees in here. It's only 2.9, but I have reasons why my PayPal is higher. And then once you get your pricing configured, you can just come in here and test it. So basically, if a supplier cost for an item was $100, I can hit OK, and it will show me what it would reprice my item to. And this is all in your settings. So once you have that done, you come down here, select a template. I already have one selected, but there's a drop down where you can choose between multiple different templates to your liking. And you'll see a bunch of HTML in the box. You can just hit switch to editor. They've also brought in this full width view, which is awesome because it allows you to see it very large. And all you need to do, it's very plug and play. You can just type in your eBay store name, or maybe a welcome to my store, you know, something like that, or your store name, or you can just delete it if you don't want that in there at all. What you'll see here is some basic little images here that just make your listing look more professional. This bar right here is where your title goes, and these little tags here, I call this a merge tag, and they're described up here, but basically whenever Hydra sees this little curly bracket thing with title in it, it's going to insert the title from the supplier. Here, these are placeholders for images. So with this particular template, I would have one big image in the middle of my listing, and then I'd have smaller thumbnails if the supplier had multiple images for that item. And then whenever the buyer puts their mouse on any of these thumbnails, the main image in the description will change to that particular image. Again, here are some more merge tags for your bullet points and your product description. You can also, and these are automatically set by your template, but you can move things around. Like if I wanted my product description to be first, I can move that. You know, and you can type things before or after it. So if I wanted it to say, you know, product summary or something like that, I could do that. And down here, press enter, and I could do key features or whatever you want to call it. You also have ability to put in, you know, whatever your store policies are. You know, I just kind of pressed enter a few times and copied and pasted my disclaimers here. You don't have to do that. Some people do, some people don't. And that's basically it. I mean, you set your template, you set your settings, you set your template. And here, this is the part where it's integrated with SKU Grid, which is our tracker and repricer that we tend to use. And basically, you would just click a link here, get a little key, paste that here. You need to get your eBay keys. You just click a link here. It takes you to eBay to sign in. And once you come out of that, all of this information will be filled in. And you hit save. Like, that's it. So it's set. That was setting up Hydra. Super easy. The next thing I want to show you is batch listing. I know a lot of you are probably here because you're interested in, well, how many items can I list at a time, and how do I go about listing multiple items at one time? Hydra allows you to batch list, and also you can sell with Hydra. I didn't mention this earlier, but you have settings for both the United Kingdom and the US. So with one Hydra account, you can sell and list items on both the US and UK eBay sites. And as you're listing, you would just select which platform you're going to sell on. And for Amazon, you can just put in ASIN numbers. And with the other suppliers, all other suppliers, you would need the full URL for the product. So if you guys have a topic in mind, I will go and grab some ASINs and throw a batch together. So shout out some topics or categories, really, that you would like for me to demo.
Should we maybe do like fitness?
Hmm?
Should we maybe do fitness items?
Sure.
That's what's in trend right now for New Year's resolutions.
Sure. Fitness is good. So I need to go to sports and outdoors, exercise and fitness. Okay, how about
I just got a message from somebody saying patio sets.
patio sets? Okay. With a patio set, I would be more apt to do a single item listing because most likely it's a freight item, and I would want to change before it's listed the shipping terms on that one. So I can do that later, not a problem. Let's see, I'll do exercise balls, that's fine. Okay, so here are some items. What you can do, especially with Amazon, is I like to use a lot of the search filters on the side. So I've selected my category. I'm going to click off on Prime because I don't usually like to deal with a lot of third-party suppliers. You might, it's okay. You know, totally up to you. I like items that have 4-star reviews. And let's pick a price point. I'm going to go for this $50 to $100 range. And let's see, I want items that are at least on sale, because if the item is on sale, I have more room to mark the item up, put it that way. So, you know, with this pulled like this, a lot of you might use scrapers already. If you have a scraper, you can just scrape all the products on pages and then just dump them in. I'm not really going to demo a scraper right now, but I'm just going to hit copy, link address, paste that. With these, all this stuff that comes after the ASIN number, you can kind of get rid of that. You don't really need it. Let's see, I got that one. I'm just going to put a few in here. I'm not going to do like a 1 million listing, 1 million item listing here on the demo. Okay, and this particular item, I can see how it has style options. I know that this one has variations, and that's something else you'd want to look into. But basically, especially for Amazon, if an item has a variation, you can just grab the particular ASIN. Each particular variation has its own ASIN number. And you can see those very easily by clicking on where it says to new. I can click that. And as I change colors or whatever the variation is, you'll notice that the ASIN number at the top changes. So if I go to red, that's going to change. Okay. All other suppliers, there is a specific way that you would need to specify the variation, but for right now, I'm just going to show you. I can just put an ASIN in here and not necessarily a whole URL. All right, so there's some Amazon links. I have a few others that I had already picked out that I want to list. So only because I want to show you a few things on them. Here's one. And then another. Okay, so basically, you know, if you had a scraper, of course, this will go much faster. Otherwise, you can just right-click on the links and grab the URLs and dump them in. It still doesn't take long. So basically, I might start out with a batch of maybe, you know, 20, 50 items, whatever you have time to go back and revise later if you want. You also have ability to add a custom formula here for a batch. So if I wanted this particular batch to have a different pricing strategy, I could click that and I can add that different strategy here, that different price formula. But otherwise, all I do is click hit add batch. And then once I do that, it'll say that it queued up my items. They'll go into my item list. So for right now, all you see is the supplier URLs right here. And in the eBay column, they don't show as listed yet. Once it's listed, it will show the eBay item ID. And the status will say pending for right now, but once it's listed, it will say listed. And if it has gone into my tracking and repricing software, it will say yes. And basically, that's like a three-step process. List the item to eBay, then it updates Hydrolister item list, and then it exports the information to SKU-Grid. So it's like a three-step process here. Exporting to SKU-Grid takes a little bit longer. Typically for a batch, it might take you, I don't know, I've seen them go kind of fast. It really just depends on how many people are doing this at the same time and how many items you have. But it can take usually maybe up to an hour, but it doesn't really matter. You can batch, you know, as much as you want and then walk away, go on about the rest of your day. While that's processing, I'm going to go ahead and do a couple single item listings because I know that some of you prefer more control over your listings. You want to edit the titles, etc., or images before you actually post to eBay. So I'll take this link for right here. So you'll just take whatever supplier URL you have, or for Amazon, you can just put the ASIN number. I'm getting rid of all this junk at the end of the link. That's just like referral information that Amazon uses. And then just hit add new item. And mind you, this does work faster. It's a little slower because I'm on a screen share right now. Other than that, all of this information is pre-filled in based on my settings. You'll see it's a good till cancel listing. The condition is in there. Hydra automatically selects the category. If you feel that the category needs to be changed, you can just select it from a drop-down. With Amazon items, typically your weights and dimensions will automatically be filled in. Global shipping, yes or no, all that's filled in. You'll see my template. I can switch to editor to preview how this looks. And I'll go full width again so you can get a good picture of this. But basically, this is how my listing would look once it's posted to eBay. So it's a nice, clean format. Here's the title. Here's the main image. When you put your mouse on any of the other thumbnails, you see the image changes. Okay, and then you see how my words are still here, and then there's the product description. So you're able to edit any of this information before it's listed. So if I wanted to, you know, change the wording around, I could. And my store policies are there. Now, what's really nice is that, you know, you can change your title here. There is a character count. So I can do red, kettle ball, 10 pound, weight, training, sports, fitness, equipment, home, gym, equipment. Okay, so there's like a basic title I just came up with in my head. There's a nice little button here that says update and description. Once you click that, it updates the title that was in your listing to the new one that you just typed, so you don't have to go back and copy and paste anything. If there's a variation, like I said, with Amazon, it's going to be specific to the ASIN, so you won't really have to deal with this anymore. But with other suppliers, if there's a variation, you can just select it from a drop-down. Your price is already set, so based on the formula I had, this item was, I don't know how much it was, but anyways, based on my pricing formula that I had, it's going to price my item at $75.52. You have ability to override that on one particular item, so I can designate a fixed price. If I wanted it to be $99.99, I could, and it will always stay that despite the fluctuations with the supplier. Or I could specify a new formula for this one item if I wanted. If you change your mind, you can just hit reset formula to default, and you go back to just using your default formula. You know, down here are your images. If I wanted to change the main image, I just hit set as main picture. If I wanted to upload my own pictures, I can. That comes in handy for those who are, you know, worried about, oh, well, can people find my images and stuff like that? You can manipulate your images on your own and then upload them yourself. You can rename the images. So if I wanted to say red kettlebell trainer and I hit enter, it tells me the item was renamed. I can confirm that by clicking it. You see the item, the image was renamed. You hit OK. Now I don't particularly spend as much time on a listing. I just kind of swap the title around and I keep it moving. You can add item specifics in here and add your own custom item specifics, and that's it. You just hit list item. So now I just hit list item. Single item listings are posted immediately. So really, in actuality, it takes me like 1 minute to do a listing. And if it's a single item listing, and it's immediately posted to eBay, and then it will export to SKU to be tracked and repriced within another like 15-20 minutes. So here's a confirmation, tells me the item was listed and it will be exported. I can check all this in my item list, and you'll see that there it is. And you can also see that some of the items with my batch have already been listed. I've had a few, or I've had one so far that was not able to list. Okay, so if you get any error messages, you can click on view error message and it will tell you. This item says found banned brand. What that means is that this is a company that is either on eBay's Vero list, and I'll show you that Vero list really quick, because I know none of you are checking this. Like that, it would be insane to do this before you listed any item. But Hydra is there to try to protect you, and nobody else is doing this. But this is eBay's Vero list. It's, you know, they have companies in the US and in the UK and other countries. And these companies have said, hey, I don't want people listing my items on eBay. So eBay puts them on a list. But here's a disclaimer from eBay. Some rights owners who work with eBay did not contribute to a page. So the list of brands is not comprehensive. And that's where Hydra comes in, because if anyone happens to get a violation from a company that is not on this published list, we're able to report that information to Hydra, and they add it to our own database behind the scenes to prevent you and everyone else in our community from listing from this company ever again. So in the future, that will protect yourself as well as others going forward. So our list is actually more comprehensive than eBay's list. So that was the error message, and this item here I know to be a banned brand, and that was when I grabbed 2 items that I wanted to list. This company, DeWalt, they make tools. They do not like you listing their items on eBay. So I purposefully listed that so that you could see the error message. I'm going to refresh this page really quick. Okay, that one's still pending. All right, other than that, I can show you really quick what a listing would look like. You know, everything would be the same. You'd have all the same information here up at the top. And then, okay, my screen is taking a little long to load. But basically, that's what the listing would look like. Still the same professional listing that you saw in my template settings. You see my product summary, my key features, my store policies, and everything like that. So, I mean, that's how you do a single item listing. So, you know, within the last like 15 minutes, I just did a batch of a few, like 5, and I also did 1 single item listing. And within that, Hydra protected me from listing an item that I should not have listed. And the other one, I'm still waiting on. It's pending. So, but I think the reason why this one is pending is because I already have it listed. Hydra's not going to let me, and I can show you that. You see the supplier URL right here, Healthy Cooking Ceramic. It's down here. And that's why I did this item. I already have this item listed, so Hydra will not allow me to list any item that I already have in my item list. So this helps to keep you from listing duplicates. And that is pretty much how Hydra works. And then, like I said, all this information is automatically being put into my tracker and repricer. I'll log into that really quick. So let me see. I'm just going to grab an item number just to show you that the information should already be in here. I'm going to copy that, paste it into the search in here. Okay, so there's the item. It still takes a little bit of time to fully populate, but once it does, it's going to look like the rest of them. And you'll see that the supplier URL is filled in. You see pictures and all, and my item is being repriced by SKU Grid. So as the item goes in and out of stock, my listing will be updated accordingly, and also the same will happen if the price changes within the settings that I have in here. Does anyone have any questions on how Hydrolister works? Let's see. Jacob says, what about all the chatter going around Facebook groups? Auto listers add too much code for Cassini. Well, the Hydra template has been optimized for SEO, to be what you call lightweight. In addition to that, you do have ability to not use a template at all. You can just go ahead and just set up your merge tags to put in the title, the product description, and the feature bullets if you want, and then just let that go, and that's the only code that you have. But technically, anytime that you type anything onto a web page, that uses HTML code. If I was to type the letter A, that is HTML code that is being used to type the letter A. So the more words you have, images, anything, the more anything you put into a listing, the more HTML code you will have. But you can confirm this with a majority of the users with Hydra. Most of them have seen a pretty dramatic increase in sales, so I don't think that the HTML is hurting them. You also have the fact that people are still getting good traffic to the listings by way of views, watchers, and sales. So I hope that answers that question. Are there any other questions? You'd like to hear more about how well the tracking and management works. The tracking and management is a beast, I will not lie. It's very, very, I don't want to say complex, but it performs a lot of complex operations. It's very effective. Last year I was very scared to operate during the Christmas season because of price changes, out of stocks and such. So I just really avoided it, and I made the mistake of ending all of my items last year. Around Christmas time, I ended all of my items because I didn't even have a store at that time, so I couldn't use vacation mode. So I ended all of my items, and I let it be. And then I came back to list, after the season was over, and then of course I killed my traffic. So, but with SKU Grid in place, I was extremely confident that my items were being tracked and repriced. So I remained open the entire Christmas season, and I did not have one item at all that was out of stock or that I had lost money on because it didn't catch it. So, the tracker and repricer, we can get into so much on this within the settings. You're able to do you're able to get email notifications, number one, and the notifications come every 20-30 minutes. SKU is doing some checking behind the scenes to see if there has been a change in your item, and it will send you updates almost real time if you want it to, and you can change that interval, 3 hours, 6 hours, 12 hours, whatever you want. But in addition to that, at that time, at those 20, 30-minute intervals, the actual repricing is not being done. The repricing happens at the time frame that you specify. I'm set to check every 3 hours. When I was listing on my own and before I had SKU, of course, I would go in and monitor my inventory once a day or maybe once every 2 days. So, for me to do every 3 hours, that's good. Of course, during the Christmas holidays, I was up to every hour for checking. But if you're doing good till canceled listings, SKU will put your items out of stock if you have the out of stock option turned on in eBay. If not, if you're doing like 30-day listings, then it will end those items if they're out of stock. It even has some what you call super safe and safe repricing, to where if an item goes out of stock one day, SKU will wait until that item has been in stock consistently for 24 hours before it allows it to be active again. And that helps to protect you, because I've seen this with Walmart and with Amazon. There's some items that go in and out of stock multiple times a day. So what happens when, item goes out of stock, then it comes back in stock. So SKU puts your listing back up for sale, you make the sale, and it goes out of stock immediately. So, to avoid you getting caught up in that, it has that super safe repricing option that you can turn on if you want. That's also extra protection for you. It also allows you to base your repricing off of Amazon fulfilled sellers, or just lowest new, which would also include third-party merchants or the buy box. So, total flexibility here. What else? As far as setting all this up, SKU, you're able to set your default quantity and actual repricing threshold. So like if the item goes up in price by more than $3, then I want SKU to go ahead and increase my price. I'm not really worried about it. If it's a penny change or a dollar change, I'm not really worried about that. But you're able to define all of that. Also, some people don't want their 30-day listings to be ended. If the item goes out of stock, they just rather have their price changed to a crazy amount, like $10,000 or something on a $10 item. So you're able to do that too if that's what you want. Otherwise, you can kind of leave that to zero. It can do rounding, so it will round. Like Hydra will list your item at maybe $77.52. But if you're telling SKU, okay, I want all my items to be rounded to the nearest 99 cents, then your price would be changed when SKU goes to check it. It will be changed to $77.99. It can handle your stock, your pricing, and in SKU again, you have ability to customize the margins that are here. When you're listing with Hydra, you want to make, as a default, you want these settings to be identical, because to be identical to the settings you have in SKU for your formula, because if not, if you have different settings in Hydra, SKU is going to assume that you want the settings that you had in Hydra, and it will keep it there. And that's because people do custom formulas when they're listing, and that's perfectly fine. So you want as a default for them to be the same, but then you can go and edit it on your own. Also, in SKU we're able to define pretty complex functions here, like this one here. This formula, I know it looks crazy, but what this does is if an item is less than $35 on Amazon, I have it set to add an additional $6 to my price, and that's to help cushion me for any potential shipping that I might have to pay. So we're able to do things like that. Any questions like that, you can just do a support ticket and talk to the developers, basically, and he's the one that helped me come up with this function. So also, I'm able to do things like with Overstock, since they offer the 5% cashback rewards. I take off the 5% off of my selling price, because I'm going to get that back on the back end, and I can apply it to another order. So just to make my pricing a little bit more competitive, that's just something I do, but you can define these things however you want. With Wayfair, I started adding an extra 5%. You know, so it's whatever you want it to be. SKU can pretty much do it. You also have ability to add multiple suppliers for a particular item. I've done that, and basically SKU will look at that, and when it gets to your eBay item, it will compare the two suppliers, and it will choose which one is the lowest in stock supplier, and it will base your pricing off of that. So I hope that helps answer the question. You're also able to edit these. You know, so basically, like if I wanted to define a separate formula for this one item, I could, you know, I come in here. This normally says override, but it's already overridden, so you don't see that. But I would just hit this use wizard button, and I would set a different pricing formula or strategy for that particular item here. It also, if your supplier includes shipping, for example, Walmart, if the item is less than $50, then the shipping is generally $4.97. So since that shipping is known to SKU before the item is actually added to a cart, it can include the supplier's shipping in your pricing. So, I mean, it works pretty flawlessly. You do have ability to do things like reprice all of your items at one time as a batch, you know, different types of editing functions. I hope that answers the question. That's just like a really quick overview. Let's see, what do we got here? Is there a list of all the suppliers that I can use? Yes. If you go to the SKU site and you click on stores, these are the suppliers. And everything that you see on the SKU site, you can see on Hydra, also on Hydra's homepage. If you click the link below the video, there, you know, in the description, it shows you about 60 of the stores, you know, because that's what we had at the time. But it's really about 156 right now. Let's see, next question. Can you go over like how the listing, can I go over how to change the template again? Settings. I got my settings here in Hydra. Go down. Basically, you know, I already have this blue template. I'm going to just switch to the editor really quick. You see I have this blue template. If I wanted to choose something else, I'm sorry, I just had to sneeze. I'm sorry. If I had to choose a different template, I can just select it from the drop. I'm sorry, I need to switch back to HTML. Show source. You know, you can start by like wiping out what's here, so I can delete that. And then I can just start selecting different templates. So, you know, I can see, you basically just use the drop down that's up here. That's how you select a different template. And I can hit show WYSIWYG, which means what you see is what you get. So now you see that this template is pretty basic, and that's what it's called, basic template. And that's how that one looks. If I wanted to switch it, I can just move on and switch to another one. But you have to do that like once you're on the HTML side, not the editor. So now I've switched to a green one that has my images in the description. You know, so that one's like that. But you know, as far as changing it, you can do with this template what you want. You know, like I said, all you have to do is highlight where it says your ID here and change that to whatever you want it to say, or you can just delete it out altogether if that's what you want to do. You know, things like this where it's like these images, if you wanted to swap these out, that would involve finding an image somewhere on the internet, hosting it on something like TinyPic, grabbing the URL for the image, and then you would switch to the HTML, and you'd have to find the code for that or the link for those images. And I can see right now that they're right here. You see how this says why choose us? This is all that stuff on that sidebar. So why choose us? So basically I would swap out this link for another link to another image, and then the image would change in my template. I hope that helps. Let's see. Does Hydra have phone support? No. Hydra does not have phone support, but we have a very interactive Facebook community where you can always get your questions answered. The owner is very active in the Facebook group as well. And they also have a support forum. You know, it's like a separate standalone website where people can go and post their questions. Let's see, hold on, where are we at? Okay, crud for okay. After you list a batch of items, you mentioned that you go back and edit your listings. How much time do you usually spend editing per item? Do you go real in depth with SEO in your listings, like targeting a certain main keyword? For me personally, no, not at first. When I do my revisions initially, the only thing that I really care about is the title, and then removing like really specific brand information from the listing. I don't do too much on the front end until I know that that item is getting good traffic and pretty much watchers and sales. Like I kind of edit in that order. Things that have sales, then things that have watchers, and then the rest when I have time if I feel like it. So I don't spend too much time at that point. And of course, after the items have gotten some sales, I start to revise the listing a little bit further. And that's when I'll go and further optimize it for SEO and such. But everybody's strategy is different. You know, some people do a lot more initially. I tend to do it on the back end once I see results. Any more questions? No? You guys have been awesome. Well, it's about 9:50, so we're about 10 minutes shy. So I thank you all for coming out and watching this live demonstration of Hydrolister in action. Wait, is this another question? Do you need to revise through Hydra or write on eBay? If you're revising with Hydra, you're doing it as a single item listing and you're doing your revisions at the time of listing with Hydra. If you're doing batch listing, you're going to be making your revisions on eBay. They are adding, and it's in the works, ability for us to edit our titles and such in a draft mode before we do a batch. And then we'd be able to batch them with like titles and stuff already edited. But that's in the works. It's coming very soon. Does that help? Let's see. Great hangout. Awesome. Thank you, Daniel. You're welcome, Karen. Thank you, Thomas. You guys are so awesome, so supportive. And like I said, we have like the best Facebook community out there. It's a very, very interactive bunch where everybody is out there helping each other. It's not like a dog-eat-dog world. We share our secrets. You know, it's super awesome. So I encourage you, if you have not already signed up for Hydralister, I encourage you to click the link below this video and go ahead and get your free trial started. You'll get 20 free listings to start. So you'll be able to list 20 items with Hydra. You'll be able to do that in a matter of minutes. So totally up to you. If you're interested in the tracking and repricing solution, I encourage you to get back to the person who invited you to this hangout and ask them for a link for SKU and set up your SKU first. And we have instructions on that and stuff in our Facebook group. But you'd want to set up your SKU first and then set up your Hydra to integrate with it. Anybody who is, and this is what I was going to do for anybody who's signing up for the trial tonight. If you sign up for the trial tonight, I'm going to, take a break for a little bit, but I will come back to the same link and I will be live on air and I will help you guys get set up and started. So anybody who's interested in that, you can find me on Facebook. Send me a message so that I know that, people are coming, because otherwise I'll just go to sleep or something. But for anybody who wants to get started tonight, we're going to have a live Hydra / SKU Grid setup session. Let's see. You're welcome. All right. Well, if that's it, guys, I'm going to take a break for a little bit, about let's say about 15 minutes, and then I'll come back and check. And if you're here and you're signing up for the trial, go ahead and click the link below, sign up for your trial, and again, ask the person who invited you to this hangout for their link for SKU Grid if you're interested in tracking and repricing as well. You don't have to do that, but it's kind of strongly encouraged. You know, because if you start listing a bunch of items and they're not being tracked, that is just, to me, it's asking for trouble. All right, guys. Well, thank you again for coming out, and I want you guys to have a great night and be on the lookout for lots more from Team Hydra Squad. Have a good night.